in football, the draft is when hope starts all over again.
You guys ready to get started?
Hope, the deep and passionate kind. Hope that the next pick will make this season the season. Hope that the next name called will be yours.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to AATB Draft Talk. Joined always by Tom Barnett, and we are very happy to have D'Angelo Amos here, formerly of James Madison University and currently of Virginia University, draft hopeful. D'Angelo, thank you for joining us on this night to answer some questions about everything going on and your college career.
Thank you for having me on the show.
I'm going to start it off here. I'm going to kind of want to, ask about your basically, playing at James Madison and then transferring over to Virginia. How has that changed? How has that kind of affected you as a player, you think?
I think it helped me. It gave me a little experience. Coming out of JMU, if everything, I guess, was normal without COVID, I would have had to transition and go a step, I guess, skip 2 steps instead of going FBS and then to the league. I'll have to go straight to the league and make that adjustment, especially with the schemes and how the NFL normally works and stuff like that. So I felt like transferring to UVA first and playing in the ACC top conference and getting that defensive, like NFL type scheme at UVA and their defense, it just helped me build my learning curve up and being able to be prepared to play in the NFL style defense.
What initially made you choose James Madison when you were coming out of high school? Did you have any offers from like any other schools? Like what made you settle on James Madison?
Well, I originally had committed to Army. So
I thought I saw that. Yeah.
First, they were my first offer that I had got my junior year. And then James Madison did offer me. They were under a different coaching staff then. And I had different offers my junior year to play receiver and more so corner, just to be a big corner around that time. 2014, 2013, everybody was transitioning to like bigger corners, longer corners. So I had those opportunities, but my senior year I played quarterback, so instead of receiver. So a lot of those offers went away. So I went with Army. Then while I was there, decided that I would best fit somewhere else. So new coach Weaver, Trip Weaver. He coached my brother at ECU, and he came to James Madison. Coach Hanson, Coach Trott, Coach Three, all coaches on that defensive staff that Coach Houston put together, all recruited me in high school. They all wanted me to come to their schools, so it was kind of like the best situation I could possibly ask for, to have all these different coaches that were interested in me coming in there and playing. Except now I have a little bit more experience and development. Kind of like having a redshirt year without it counting. So going there, it just felt comfortable. I was familiar with all the coaches. It just seemed like the right spot to be.
You speak of your brother, Sean. So he went to ECU, Then he went to undrafted out of for the Giants, and then went to the CFL. Produced big time in the CFL, got another opportunity to come back to the NFL. How has his journey kind of, affected you and taught you along the way in terms of how to be a better, pro, because you're jumping into that pool to be a professional?
Well, a lot of throughout my life, obviously with him being the older brother, that I always kind of had the secondhand experience. So I was always able to kind of, in a sense, make some corrections or learn certain lessons from him without having to go through it just yet. And like with him, it was just learning how to be a professional on that every day isn't guaranteed. Obviously, with his spot with the Giants, he went in their training camp and was there for a long time until that last cut. But even then, it wasn't enough, So it's like, even though you may be good in everyone else's eyes, and everybody's like, "Hey, you should make it." That's not always the case. So your fate is not always just in your hands, as it is in maybe high school or college. And that, if I want to be a pro, I gotta start preparing like one and training like one and practicing like one day in and day out.
Since we're speaking on your brother a little bit, was there any kind of sibling rivalry growing up? Did it kind of push you, like, since you guys both are defensive backs now? Like, did you play the same position when you guys were younger or anything like that?
Yeah, we did actually. He never played quarterback though. I played quarterback quite a bit growing up. He never had to do that. He was always at running back. He never went to receiver until he got to about high school. I was kind of spread out a little bit. With quarterback and running back, and as I got to high school, that's when it's like, oh, quarterback, running back, receiver. I even played tight end one time. Wasn't the biggest fan of it, but I felt like, it showed versatility. High school, like I said, was the biggest difference. Him playing a little bit of corner and safety, and then playing receiver, and never having to go to running back. I did all of those. I even long snap and punted in high school, my junior year. So that was new, something different, just another skill to have. But we definitely competed. We always wanted to play against each other just to kind of settle that sometimes. Or if we had like some argument in the house, it was like, all right, if I get the chance to like put pads on and we can go at it, then we can see who's the real big dog between me and him. But we never really got that chance. So hopefully with me becoming a professional athlete and maybe somewhere down the road, we may be able to have that chance.
So, talking about your time and being a professional athlete, but, looking a little bit back on your college time, and you play defensive back, and this new age game where there's usually 5 defensive backs, sometimes 6 defensive backs on the field at a time. How do you think that benefits you going into the NFL with this new schemes of defenses and how they play a lot more defensive backs? And you do a little bit of down towards line of scrimmage, a little bit back. You do a number of things. How do you think that benefits you going into the league?
It's just great. It's kind of played out, like I said, like a lot of things have so far in my favor, that teams are working to put so many DBs on the field. It just means that the market for DBs is bigger, is greater. And with everything that goes on with receivers now, as far as the multitude of receivers that each team has and the different skill sets they have, like, you need that many guys to go in. The receivers is one of the biggest groups being drafted more recently, and you need guys to guard those guys. So, like I said, I think it's very beneficial to anybody that plays DB or even receiver because, like I said, you need those numbers to match up.
Speaking of guys at the next level, is there anyone that you kind of have your eyes on day one that you want to match up one-on-one with?
I'm really there for the experience, but I would really love to really see like firsthand going against maybe like DK Metcalf. I've never seen him in person, so like to see like that size advantage he really has. And then Devontae Adams as far as a route runner, between him and Jerry Jeudy, is just their craft and kind of seeing what goes into that, help understand from the offensive standpoint and their mindset of how they look at defenses, how they attack DBs, and that'll help me as a player as well. It's not necessarily to say, oh, I'm gonna go in and dominate them, and I can guard any of them one-on-one or anything like that. I'm not saying that. But just to learn from them is the biggest thing. I think that knowledge and that experience will teach me a lot. It'll also show me where I'm at as far as my skills and what I'm able to do.
In college, who was the toughest receiver that you had to go up against, or somebody like, I don't know. I know you jumped to the ACC. You can even say it at your time at James Madison, but who would be the toughest matchup that you had during your collegiate career?
I would say my toughest matchup is a guy that hasn't had necessarily the opportunity to be on the field and get noticed, but Devin Ravenell, Brandon Ravenell is his brother. He was part of that 2016 national championship team. But his little brother is just as fast, if not faster, but it's crazy in routes. And I had to guard him a lot when I would go in third down and practice in nickel and stuff like that. And he's not the biggest and strongest, but he's so fast and he's so crisp with his routes that it's almost impossible to get a hand on him, let alone run with him. So going against him made me better every single day because I was so used to tight ends. I'm like, all right, they're slower. I can sit on them. Like, you got to play a little finesse ball with the tight ends, but you can't do that against him. There's no time where even when you're impressed that you're going to get a hand on him, he'll cut the route short or he'll just route you up, period, and he'll get you turned around. So going against him every day and in practice really made me really kind of get into my corner bag a little bit. Kind of be that corner, get your feet moving, and work on my man coverage. Every time I told him, actually before this season happened and before the transfer, I told him like, hey, me and you are going to do one-on-ones every day. We had the opportunity to talk to Cromartie when, even though he's retired now, but to talk to him, he was like, what's the one best thing that got you ready for games and to guard everybody? He was like, one-on-ones. You can't, no drill can simulate that. So he was like, do one-on-ones and go against the hardest guy that it is to guard, and he's definitely that guy for me. Billy Kemp, guarding him at UVA would be the next hardest guy to guard just because he can run any route, and most times when that ball touches his hands, it's in there. You're not really getting that out. So you learn to use techniques like punching the ball out, using my feet more than just trying to bully guys or use my arm length to kind of slow guys down. You really had to be a technician out there against those guys.
Since you're on the topic of technique a little bit, what would you say stands out like most when it comes to you as a player on the field, like when you watch the film?
I think it's just my confidence and how comfortable I am close to in the box and to the line of scrimmage. I think a lot of my plays that have been seen, even though a lot of scouts or a lot of people that may review my game or review me just off the physical appearance, is just like, all right, has a lean frame, doesn't have a lot of weight, but when you watch me play, it's like he don't play like that. Like, that's not his mindset. When I'm down there, I'm comfortable down there. One of my first positions in high school was linebacker, so that's where that comes from. So it was just, I think that is the first thing people are going to see. Like, all right, when he's down there, you want him to play the run, he has no problem doing that. He's fearless in that. And then being in deep coverage. If you want me deep in the middle of the field, you want me to show some range and get all over the field, that's going to happen. You're going to see that. It's not too many times. If I'm in the middle of the post, that ball is going to just be caught inside the numbers without me being right there at the ball. So I think just my range as a deep cover guy and then my presence in the box.
So, speaking of your collegiate career and at James Madison, I feel like James Madison, yes, it's a FCS school, but the amount of talent that they were able to get on their teams and the teams that they had to play, the Villanovas and a lot of tough teams in that conference. Do you feel like that got you that got you ready to make that jump to Virginia when you transferred up to Virginia, play at a type of school like James Madison, the type of conference that they played in, and you went to playoffs, you were in the playoffs, you're always top 5 ranked FCS school. How does that, being in that type of atmosphere, help you get better to be able to jump up to Virginia?
Oh, it was big. It was huge. When you have the two powerhouses in JMU and North Dakota State, and 3 out of those 4 years when we were playing them in the national championship and semifinals, like, you got to play good ball, and the CAA, if anybody's kept track, besides these last few years, the CAA can go whichever way. It's any given weekend where somebody else could win. It's not just, they're normally the bad team. You getting everybody's best shot every game. So I feel like playing in such a talented conference did help me a lot. JMU definitely has a lot of transfers. So, like I said, you're playing the FCS, but you have a lot of FBS talent on that JMU roster, and some that have JMU had FBS ability. They just didn't get the looks or whatever would be the reason for them. But it's a lot of talent, a lot of ability on just the JMU team alone, and in that conference that transition was definitely a lot easier than I thought it would be.
Playing in those 3 title games, what would you say was the most memorable moment of your career?
I would say 2017. That year after we won, we went back. We were undefeated. Like I said, it was a great year, but being there, that was my first time playing in an actual national championship. I dressed out the year before, was a backup, but thankfully that we didn't have any injuries that I was needed. But I played in that one. I was more as a primary punt returner then, and that playoffs was the time I became a returner, the primary returner. And I think it kind of set the tone for what was to come as far as me as a special teams guy and what I could do. A lot of people seen it as, all right, he's a threat, and that next year was just like, all right, let's see if you can become an actual dangerous return man, not just he's threatening. He could do it, but he couldn't do it. So I feel like that kind of sparked the flame for me as far as being a special teams player and a returner.
So you bring up special teams, and that's something, at the next level, with what you can do and what you've shown you can do on film, it just gives another, added, basically to your arsenal of what you can do. How do you feel that benefits you going into the next level, that you can do that on special teams as well as on defense?
I think it's big. It's to the NFL and being a special team. That's how a lot of guys make that active roster or maybe the practice squad. Is you add extra value with special teams. Like, yeah, you may be average. You could be average at your position, but if you're a beast on special teams, now you're not as average of an athlete no more, an average NFL player no more. That adds a different skill set. You can make it in the league for a very long time just playing special teams. So, and I take pride in that. That's something that was taught to me by Coach Houston and Coach Trott and Coach Weaver and the guys at JMU when I first got there, is to take pride in that. And that's what I've done ever since then. I have no problem playing special teams. I actually love playing special teams. You start every game. You guarantee to start on special teams every game. So to me, that's what I needed. That's what I love to do. Returner was kind of, like I said, that came later on. I was at first blocking for the returner at first. So to me, it was just fun, like just to be able to have a team that can depend on you to do anything that they ask you to do on a team. And I think that just adds a tremendous amount of value for me in my next upcoming chapter, trying to be a professional athlete.
So we have a question here. What's the part of your game you want to improve the most at the next level?
I would say man coverage. I haven't had to play man coverage as much. I did play a lot more this year with UVA than I had to at JMU. Not too many people really attacked me as far as in the pass game. Most of the time I was in the post. Like I said, that range is what the coaches like. So, all right, we're going to keep him there. And I really didn't have to be in man coverage, especially on third down. I was being saved a lot to be able to return punts. It's like, all right, we don't want you worn out trying to return a punt. So I think the lack of reps I had in game and one-on-one and in man is probably where I need the most improvement. It's not that I'm terrible or I can't do it. It's just that I haven't had the reps or the experience.
Would you say that there's any player that you looked up to growing up, either as a return guy or a safety, or a player that you kind of model your game after?
A lot was, once I got to high school, the Honey Badger. Just when he first hopped on the scene, it was like, who is this kid? And he's come out of nowhere. To me, college was the NFL. You were a professional athlete to me in high school. So really looking up to him. Ed Reed, as far as safeties, Troy Polamalu, just how he's willing to take risks and do anything. And he just made a lot of spectacular plays, just having fun. It looked like he's just having a ball out there, and that old school style of play is kind of what I like. I know the times are a little bit different for safeties. It's not so much a safety that can, hit somebody across the middle or lay somebody out on the sideline on a deep ball. It's a little bit more. We want the ball, get the interceptions and ball skills, but that old school style of football. So a lot of those safeties, Tyrann Mathieu is kind of a little bit of both. He's physical, but he also can cover and has great ball skills as well. And as being a great returner at LSU, his time there too. So it kind of fit right where I was, a safety that's physical, that play in the box and loves to play in the box, but also can cover and also return and punch.
So have you been invited to any like college all-star games or anything like that upcoming? I know there's been a couple that have been postponed, so it's kind of, the slate of games aren't as heavy as they usually are during, normal seasons. But do you have any offers to go to any college all-star games?
Yes, I accepted an invite to the College Gridiron Showcase that will be happening next week in Fort Worth, Texas. So I'll be there. I'll be there with the scouts, do interviews. We'll get on the field Thursday and do some things, run around, show some of the field work and movements. And then I was just recently invited to the Hula Bowl in Hawaii. Like I said, it's a little bit different because they're actually going to have pads and hit. I probably won't go there though. Just because I feel like it takes a lot of time out of training, especially with it being this early, and I just got out of a season, like to recover and not take that risk at that bowl game. If it was a Senior Bowl or something like that, yeah, definitely. I mean, of course, I would go, but with that one, I just feel like I would rather have that time to train and not lose out while everybody else is training.
How soon after are you starting your training after the bowl game?
Right after CGS, I'm coming back into DC, and literally the next day, I'm driving. It's time to go to work with Terry Grossetti at Grossetti Performance in PA.
But the other good thing, like being at the College Gridiron Showcase, is because is it going to be like live practices and stuff? Are you going to be able to practice up against other players?
Oh yes, absolutely.
So that's something you could put film for the scouts, is to be able to go up against these other guys and add to the film that you have already.
Oh yes, absolutely. Like I said, just to see me move around with COVID, scouts weren't on campuses. They didn't see you practice. They seen a little bit in the games. Or they'll come to the games and maybe be able to watch those. But as far as traveling, that was very limited, or if not at all, going on this year. So it's like a chance, like, all right, we didn't get to see you in person or physically talk to you and have those conversations, have those interviews, get to know each other or know what's going on. So this is a great opportunity to have those interviews, talk, get any questions answered, or talk about anything that may be concerning them. And also, like I said, once again, turn heads that may not already be turned my way and show them that, there's some attention that needs to be brought over here and that I can be a guy that can make their team better.
And I did see that the Tropical Bowl, which is one in Orlando, that's going to be, I guess, this weekend. They had 30 scouts from 31 different teams. So, with these bowl games, some of them being canceled, they want to see the live reps, they want to see the weigh-ins, they want to talk to these players. So it's a good shot for you guys to be able to interact and talk to these scouts and get to know them. So then the teams can say, hey, that's a guy that we like, and it helps you guys. Usually those games, there'll be a number of scouts, but usually it's half of that. You don't have basically every single team. They want to be able to see the people in person. The film, you can see so much on film, but to be able to talk to the kid and be able to watch them on the field, how they work on the field, how they conduct themselves. But I feel like it's really good, especially in Fort Worth, where you're going, the CGS. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be able to get your name out there, talk to all these scouts, and to be able to say, this is what I do. This is what I can provide.
Right. I think, like I said, it's a lot of what you said, especially the in-person part, getting to meet us, besides, this is what we see on film, but how is he as a person? You want to bring in the people that you may like, what I'm saying, that character also plays a part into it. So who you bring into your locker room? Is he going to help build that locker room, or is he going to be to himself and not really, gel with the team, or is he going to destroy that locker room? You never know who you're going to get. So I think being able to be in person and not talk through, a screen or a phone or whatever, or a computer, that, you can really get that real character and personality traits out of them and see how they conduct themselves, how they are in practice. Because you can see the practice reps all the time and the game reps, but are they supporting their teammates when they're on the sideline or throughout practice? Are they helping each other out? Are they doing some of the little things that make them a great all-around player and person?
Do you have any big plans for draft day? What do you plan on doing that day? Spending time with your brother or anything like that, or?
Well, hopefully my brother is with a team somewhere and he's not annoying me. But for the most part, I just want to be around family. They've been supportive. I have a very big family, and they've supported me no matter what decisions I made, whether it was to go to Army, whether it would be at JMU, whether it was to transfer. So I'm a big family guy, and I just spend a lot of my time, my off time around them, and that's what I'm gonna do, especially during these times. And everything's kind of going crazy right now, that I would just love to just be around my family. And if I get that call or when that moment comes, I want them to be there and enjoy it with me, because part of it is doing it for them too.
And growing up, what team did you like? Like, what were you a fan of? If you were a fan of an NFL team or anything like that?
Um, I never had a favorite team. My family team in the household was the Cowboys, or then the family would be the Steelers or Philly or whoever. But I never really had a team. I just watched certain guys. I like the way they play the game, their attention to detail, or if they played a way that was similar to mine. It was like, all right, I like watching you play. I like the way you play the game. So I would watch them. Like Deshaun, his was Michael Vick. So wherever Michael Vick was, that's who that's who he was. That's who he's a fan of. And that's kind of a little bit of where it came from. It wasn't the whole team. It was just certain guys. And that's where it came from for me. It was just certain guys. It wasn't really any team or like a household team that I was kind of forced to like. I mean, the Cowboys was a team, but I wasn't feeling it. I was just like, all right, I like certain guys, and that was it.
Wait, you had Cowboys and Eagles fans in the same house? How did that work?
Not in the same house. But
okay.
Feel like we had a family function. They got together. It was Steelers. You have Steelers, Patriots, Cowboys, and even Giants. And it was Cowboys, Giants. Definitely, that was a clash.
But then whatever team you are on, that's their new favorite team, though. So that's how it's gonna,
I mean, they're still hoping for Cowboys, but I'm just sitting there like, I don't have a favorite. It's just, whoever's willing to give me that opportunity and, bring me in and let me, just show what I got.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing I want to do is Tommy's good at putting these graphics together. So he put this kind of like a little bit of a career thing, goes over, your career stats, 182 tackles, 9.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 12 pass breakups, 4 interceptions, 3 fumble recoveries, 1 forced fumble. 1,259 career punt return yards, which is second in James Madison University history. 5 punt return touchdowns. 4 block kicks. So right there, it shows the special teams value on what you can do. And I know I put out the video, saying you were coming on the show and stuff. I sent it to you too. And, a lot of that is, making plays, whether it's on special teams, whether it's on defense. And it just seems like you were always basically the knack for the ball. You're always around the ball. And, it's huge, especially in this day and age with, like I said, with all the safeties coming. And you see sometimes teams use 3 safeties. My favorite team's the Eagles. So they used a lot of safeties this year. Right. So sometimes they're at 3 safeties on the field at once for at least, 55, 60% of the time. So, and you know what, they need some safety. So, it would be perfect. But Tommy likes the Giants. So of course he's, that's his,
how y'all friends right now.
Yeah, it's okay. No, it just, Tommy and I are going to be watching. We'll definitely be tuning into the College Gridiron Showcase. I always like seeing the updates for the practices and who's doing well, who's not doing well. So it's definitely something that him and I will keep an eye on. And like, speaking of your brother's, I reached out to him and talked with him and, supporting, my daughter in her fight with, XP and everything like that. And he's been, great, your family as a whole, because he did post everything, great support system, everything like that. So it's just something that I'm thankful for, something I want to just say that too. I'm thankful for, him and you and everybody, that, puts that out there for the awareness to be able to, you know, to be able for me to get that platform out there to
Right.
help. I appreciate that. But, and it's something I wanted to reach out to, get to talk to you and, for you to be able to, talk about yourself a little bit. And so more people can, get to know who you are, look you up, your highlights and everything like that, to be able to know what kind of player that their team may be able to get this upcoming draft.
Right.
So it's definitely something that Tom and I are very appreciative of you coming on and, being able to give us your time on our show. And, any last words, Tom? Any last questions you got?
No last questions. I just wanted to thank you also for coming and joining us on the show. It was great talking to you, getting to know you a little bit off the field.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate y'all having me on. Like I said, when you told me I talked to Sean before. He told me, I'm like, oh, okay, so nothing but good things. Like I said, blessings to you and the strength and fight of your daughter. Like I said, it's been a blessing just to have these interviews and to talk. Especially like I said, you're doing me a favor in a sense. Like I said, getting my name out there. I appreciate you for that. Appreciate y'all for having platforms like this. Not too many people can do it. Y'all found a way to do it and be great at it. So continue to do that. Like I said, just more life and more blessings, and just continue to thrive and be safe out here.
Yeah. And you can follow D'Angelo on Twitter at, I think it's almost famous. And then there's an underscore. So it's, you can put it anyway. I know there's some capitalizations in there too, but at almost famous underscore, you follow him on Twitter, support him, and Tommy and I will definitely be watching. Definitely hope you get a spot on a team and get drafted, but we'll definitely be a long way. Hopefully we can connect in the future, have you on as well, talk about everything. Jason's checking in here. He's a Lions fan, so his team means everything. So that's always a good thing. But he always likes these interviews and everything. But I'm going to run a quick commercial here for some sponsors and everything. But again, I want to thank you, D'Angelo, for coming on and giving us your time.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
Alrighty, it was great having D'Angelo on. Talk a little bit about himself and everything that he's getting prepared for. But we're gonna spend the last segment of the show talking about the All-Star games. So there's one happening this weekend, Spiral Tropicana Bowl in Orlando. There has been some practices going on, one-on-ones, everything like that, which is like I said, I love seeing that, love watching that. But we took a look at the rosters and we, a couple names to kind of keep an eye on. And it's funny because I texted you, I said, get some names to look at. And of course you named three of the guys that I was probably going to talk about. So shifted things a little bit. But, if you want to start talking, you want to name one guy that you have on your list that you're kind of, a little intrigued to, to see.
First guy I want to talk about a little bit is Zach Thomas, quarterback out of Appalachian State. 3-year starter for him, led his team to Sun Belt Conference Championship in 2018, 2019, all Sun Belt for 3 consecutive seasons and was the league's offensive player of the year in 2018. But I think he could be a little bit of a sleeper pick.
Jason wants to know if I got a haircut. Yes, I did.
There we
Go
go.
ahead. Keep going. Don't throw you off guard.
So Zach Thomas, I think he could be a little bit of a deep sleeper pick, kind of there in the late rounder, probably priority free agent. He's got decent mobility, kind of struggles with the arm strength a little bit, but shows good touch and accuracy. So I think it'll kind of be a good platform for him playing for a winning team these last 3 seasons to kind of come in and show what he has.
So the guy that I'm going to bring up, very small school, offensive lineman, Samuel Cooper from Merrimack College. So, 6'2", 310. This is what I like about these kind of games. A guy from Merrimack going to be going up against, there's some players on here that are from, bigger schools. So it gives him the opportunity to show what he can do, against a lot tougher opponents than he faced, playing at Merrimack, which, you're not playing players from Boston College and stuff like that. So it gives him the opportunity to show what he can do. He's probably a undrafted free agent, but it gets him the opportunity to show scouts, especially, like I said, there's scouts from 31 different teams. So it gives him the opportunity to show, what he can do at the next level.
Another next guy I have, Greg Mcrae, running back out of Central Florida. A little undersized. He's 5'10", 175, but in his career, over 2,600 rushing yards, 6.5 yards a carry over 4 years. On that 2018 team that won the Fiesta Bowl, he had over 1,000 yards that season, 8.9 yards per carry, 10 touchdowns, and he's just kind of been forgotten about a little bit. But this season, he still had over 100 rushing yards 3 times, and he's just had a knack for finding in the end zone with a touchdown in 9 to 10 games this year. So I think it'll be kind of a case where he can kind of, as you were saying, showcase on another level. Hopefully they get to use him as a little bit as the receiver, because he didn't really get a chance to do that too much at Central Florida, but all around a pretty good runner.
And the thing with him is, he played with, a guy that Phil always, busts me on is Adrian Killens, who the Eagles signed as undrafted free agent last year. And, Central Florida, smaller guy, shifty, quick, speedy. So Mcrae's a little bit bigger. He's like 5'10", around 175 or so, maybe a tiny bit bigger than that. But they're both somewhat the same, except for Killens was used a little more as a receiver than Mcrae was. But he's definitely an option, late round priority free agent that, can give some spark to some offenses and everything. So he's definitely somebody to keep an eye on. I have a receiver that's actually been doing very well during practices. Myron Mitchell from UAB, 6'1", 180. He's not the biggest guy, but he's very fast, and he's been making the defensive backs look silly this week. None of them have been able to match up with him, which is always a good sign when you're in these, these all-star games with all these scouts watching. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Now, of course, we've talked about it, how loaded the draft class is with receivers, but doesn't mean you can't find somebody later in the draft that fits and that could be a little bit of a steal or a little bit of a surprise. So he's definitely a guy that I'm going to be keeping an eye on, Myron Mitchell from UAB. And he's also a kick returner too. So he can return kick and punt. So he's a return specialist too. So that's also added value to him.
I think it's pretty impressive too if he's having that good of a week with another player. He's not on my list, but Shamar Jean-Charles out of Appalachian State. He was one of the highest graded corners of any player on Pro Football Focus. So I think if he's showing that against a player of his caliber, it really bodes well for him. But going into my third player, I would have running back Trey Harbison out of Charlotte. 5'11", weighs 215, and he's been a fantastic athlete since high school. He had 99 career touchdowns, 37 in his senior year. He originally transferred from North Illinois, where he put up 2,000-yard rushing seasons, averaged 98.28 yards per game in 2019. He transferred to Charlotte this year just to be a little bit closer to home. And he didn't put up quite the same numbers he was putting up in Northern Illinois, but he was splitting carries with Aaron McAllister, and Charlotte only played 6 games. So he didn't really have time to click with his offense, but I think he could be a late round sleeper.
Yeah, he's a name that I really like. When he went in the transfer portal last year, I was like, okay, so Northern Illinois, Temple's head coach was from Northern Illinois. I thought that was going to be a match there. He was going to go over to Temple, but of course it didn't work. And with COVID and everything going on, it didn't really help him. But he's a big back. He's not small. He's not a real, he's not like Mcrae, who's a smaller back. He's a bigger, stockier back.
I was a little surprised he went to Charlotte too. I thought he would have had like an opportunity to go to a Power 5 school with the numbers he put up in Northern Illinois.
Yeah, and that's what I thought. Go a little bit different route in terms of the university that he picked. A guy that I'm gonna focus on last here was a super highly rated prospect coming out of high school. He committed to Penn State, then decommitted, and caught on with Maryland. Adam McLean, his name is. Defensive tackle, kind of like a nose guard, 6'2", 315. He didn't play last year. I think I don't know if it was academics or whatever it was, but he gets a chance here to showcase what he can do. Be a run stuffing type of defensive tackle. Going in these all-star games for people to take a look at for him. But I had high hopes when coming out of high school when he originally committed to Penn State and then going over to Maryland. I thought he was going to be, a very viable, very serviceable defensive tackle. But of course, it doesn't always work out. Doesn't mean that he can't succeed at the next level. Just work hard and everything. But he's definitely a name that I'm going to watch because of all the hype he had coming out. And it's not that he's smaller. He is talented. There's a reason he was a top recruit, but he just needs that. Basically, he needs to be able to show what he can do at the next for the scouts for the next level. Any other names on here that you're intrigued by? I know you already brought up the one corner, but anybody else that kind of intrigues you?
No, I was gonna say the last one I wanted to end off with was Shamar Jean Charles, but I talked about him on another episode already, so I wasn't gonna bore you with my draft crush on him.
So you're telling me that you want the Giants to draft him because he's one of your.
With that. I would be okay with that.
I try not to get. Yeah, well, the Eagles could too. I try not to get too enamored with prospects because my team never drafts them. Same thing with head coaches. There's a couple of head coaches that I got, one especially I was enamored with that is now, up the turnpike and with the Jets. So I guess I shouldn't get too fixated on a certain prospect because my luck is it's not going to happen.
I'm going to pour one out for your Robert Saleh hopes and dreams.
Oh, thank you. We'll see. We'll see what they do. But, with the College Gridiron Showcase coming up, that's definitely something that we could touch on next week to be able to, go over that. And also we're going to talk about the Tropical Bowl and see, who impressed and, maybe throw out a couple names that we didn't mention to kind of, let people, see who else is out there. I know there's not a lot of huge names on here, a lot of smaller school guys, which is something, like I said, I like seeing the smaller school guys get an opportunity to play against, players who were at the UCFs and Appalachian States and the Boston Colleges, Purdue's, and, teams like that they can showcase their skills. We're not doing a mock draft this week. We're going to have enough time to kind of, sift through that and get all that done. What I'm going to probably say is we'll probably do a mock draft. I think we'll start going till after Super Bowl. Once the order is set, we can do like a live draft and everything like that. Jason's sad that your dog didn't make an appearance tonight.
She made a couple. I've just gotten good with the mute button.
Jason doesn't like that. He likes to hear the dog, so you got to make sure next episode we get that on.
Well, I'll make sure to put a graphic together for a special guest.
Okay. That'll work. No one wants to coach the Eagles, and it shows. Well, when you have Harry Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie telling you what you can and can't do all the time, I guess it's not really desirable. This one for you, Tom. What are your thoughts on Brady White from Memphis?
I haven't actually watched too much on Brady White yet. I can't really give a rundown on him, to be honest.
I liked him. I like his size and everything. Like what he can give you. But I think the problem is the class of quarterbacks is just so deep this year, and that's going to be the struggle point. And another thing I brought it up, and it was all the teams that need quarterbacks this year. I want your feeling on this. Before we wrap it up and everything. So all the teams that need quarterbacks this offseason, there's going to be a good amount of them. And my thought is with the pertaining to the Eagles, if they say, okay, we're gonna go ahead and trade Carson Wentz and get rid of it and go with Hurts and see what we have. So if they deal Wentz, he's going to be dealt to one of these teams that need quarterbacks. You're going to have the Trevor Lawrences, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Kyle Trask, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson. You're going to have all these quarterbacks get drafted, and then also the other quarterbacks who possibly get traded and everything. Come 2022, if Jalen Hurts isn't the option and they want it, and they're not very good again, and they're towards the top of the draft, there isn't going to be a lot of teams that are going to be, per se for quarterbacks in the next crop. The guys like you like right now, Carson Strong, and then there's Sam Howell and Spencer Rattler, and there's Desmond Ridder, and there's some other guys on that list. How do you feel in terms of the Eagles trade and then say, you know what, maybe we'll look at 2022 quarterbacks instead of 2021 since there's so many teams that need it? Because there could only be like 3 or 4 teams that need quarterbacks next draft.
I think it's hard to say. Like, you can't really look a year ahead. So much can change in 1 year.
Well, I have to being an Eagles fan. You can't.
you have no hope for this year. You already gave up.
No, I won't give up. I still think. I always think they have a shot. That's just me.
Yeah, I think it's too far to look ahead though, because I wouldn't have thought Atlanta's in the top 5 looking to move on for Matt Ryan. Like, that wouldn't have crossed my mind 1 year ago. Like, moving on from Stafford, they kind of bring that up pretty much every year, but I don't think of Stafford as a guy you move on from. There's always kind of these surprise teams that kind of pop up. Like
your Giants with Daniel Jones?
That could be a chance too, yeah.
And what happens if the Giants say, you know what, Daniel Jones isn't doing well, we're going to, part ways, go a different direction, and they draft Carson Strong? Wouldn't that be
I don't see Strong as a first rounder yet. I kind of like Spencer Rattler and Sam Howell better than him right now. I like Strong as my underdog pick.
The guy that hasn't done almost like the Trey Lance type, because he didn't have as much basically game time, game tape. That guy that has the tools but has to put it together.
Yeah, he's from that smaller school, so he just doesn't really get the attention as everyone else does.
We have another question here for you. With the performance of Monday night, does Devontae Smith last to number 6?
I think he will, to be honest, because last year we saw the receivers just kind of slide when you had good players there like Judy, Lamb. They kind of just fell for no reason at all. I don't think it's a case of their talent. I think it's teams aren't valuing wide receivers the way the media is.
So the other question I want to give you is, so say the Jets with the number 2 pick go Penei Sewell, and they don't go quarterback. Yeah. I feel like there's going to be an absolute chaos in terms of teams behind there trying to trade up to get those quarterbacks. That's why I think Eagles at number 6, they may wind up trading out to either 9 or 12 or something like that. Because for me, there's players, where does Patrick Surtain II go? Where does J.C. Horn go? These receivers that are up here, Jalen Waddle, all these guys. I think that's the major thing to look in terms of Devontae Smith is who's going number 2. If it winds up being offensive tackle, then it winds up throwing these quarterbacks up, I think Devontae Smith could definitely drop. Unless a team like Miami says, you know what, we want to pair him with Tua and draft him number 3, which I really don't see happening, but it's definitely something that wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities.
Yeah. If I'm the Eagles, I consider trading down too, just because your team is kind of aging. Just add some picks there to try to just get a youth infusion there.
Yeah.
Uh,
But
a lot will depend what you do with head coach too.
yeah, and of course, the free agency is going to impact a lot of things too. So there's a lot of things that is going to impact basically the mock drafts and everything. That's why I feel we'll wait till after the season to then start up those mock drafts again. Just because the whole slate will be set, and we can do the live mock drafts and pick each thing one by one. We can do that, so make it a little bit more fun. But wrapping it up, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I want to thank everyone for commenting. I want to thank D'Angelo again for coming on with us and giving us his time. I want to thank Last Out Media. You can follow them at Last Out Media. I want to thank Athletes Hub at Athletes Hub. You can follow them, and also at Heat Ratio Sports. All three of them, support the All About the Birds network, and we just want to, give our thanks to them and everybody over at those platforms doing everything they're doing, making themselves better, making their brand great. So it's just something I want to say thank you. I want to thank Tom again for coming on. Thanks for doing the graphics. They're always great, like always.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. But with that, I'm going to play a commercial here. But before I do, there are new shirts that Tommy, again, with his graphic artistic ability. So we have these new shirts on the site. Make sure you check it out, aatbirds.com/shop. And, there's a lot of great items out there. I know Chip's going to want me to say that he has a shirt with his face on it, in case anyone wants a shirt with his face on it. Maybe he's the only one that wants a shirt with his face on it. But you can check out all the great gear and all the great stuff that we have over there on the website. Just make sure you're checking out aatbirds.com for all your Eagles needs. There's be some draft stuff going to be on the platform too, on the website as well. So just keep an eye out for that. But with that, we're going to play the ending, and thanks again, guys.